$5 Games presents Vampire Survivors, brought to you by a comment by Ahmed Zuk. So there's no plot for this game, just a theme akin to Castlevania. The game was so successful that not only did several developers create their own version of the game, it was also cloned one-to-one, stolen for other games according to Lucia Galante, one of the developers. This caused a rushed release of the mobile version, which publishers apparently didn't want to help with because of their lack of predatory monetizations. Anyways, with that out of the way, in the game, all you do is move around and pick weapons as you level up. The weapons all fire off at regular intervals. There is no manual activation for any of them. And even though the game doesn't have a plot, it does have several forms of progression. However, as a heads up though, I am going to be interweaving my opinion quite a bit for the rest of this video, as that was what was asked in the comment. So when you start the game, it is actually impossible to reach the 30-minute mark on your very first try. This is because your first run is limited to this, and none of these weapons can combine together into a super weapon, which is essential for the average person to make it to 30 minutes early on. So one of the forms of progression is your growing arsenal of super weapons as they become unlocked. Another form of progression is the gold you get in each run. Gold is spent on permanent upgrades in the shop, as well as making unlocked heroes available to play. Different heroes have different starting weapons and a slight variation in their stats. The last form of progression is complicated. See, the game consistently gives you more and more things to discover without shoving it in your face. Like, the boss at 30 minutes takes damage and doesn't instantly kill you. Maybe that means something. Weapon combinations aren't available at the start of the game and are hinted at inside of this book. When you get the map, there are various question marks on it, giving the player a desire to investigate them. And later in the game, they have some rather weird bosses. Even though I thought I did everything relevant in the game, I apparently missed this guy. Unfortunately though, this game puts me to sleep. My significant other says that the game is rather mesmerizing to look at, but that's not the main reason. The reason is because between the upgrades and an effective strategy for each run, I no longer need to think when playing this game. Generally, after the first 10 minutes, the only thing I do is walk left and right. It was kind of fun starting a fresh file because I found that I couldn't use that strategy anymore, but it also made it evident that although there were several different ways to progress in the game, skill is not one of them. Or rather, the skill needed to beat the game I had already developed to the point that I view it as insignificant. So for me, the game has turned into basically watching TV without any plot or characters. I could turn off all of the upgrades or start a fresh file whenever I play around, but I'm more interested in seeing what other game developers are willing to throw my way, instead of figuring out what kind of handicap I need in order to become better in this one. And the game is still enjoyable regardless of the skill factor, it just makes me tired. Overall, I think that the gameplay, graphics, and sound design are top tier for what this game was trying to do. And the way this game is accessible to practically everyone is an amazing feat. The developers definitely have my respect for both respecting the players and the number of quality of life features in the game. Like, if there's too much experience on the battlefield, it will stop dropping and instead accumulate inside of a single red gem until you go pick it up. It's really nice that the game doesn't do hand-holding when it doesn't need to. Anyways, that's a wrap for this game. Consider picking this game up instead of a whip.